Starting with the 3D letter design we created in the previous tutorials, we'll develop a grasshopper definition to prepare our laser cutting files. So here's our 3D object. Let's explode this geometry so we can identify the surfaces, replicate their profile, and export them for laser cutting surface. Surface, analysis, deconstruct BREP. When we use the deconstruct component, the outcome is a list of surfaces or faces, edges, and vertices that are the basic elements that define this geometry. To be able to identify and select any item in these lists, we can use the list item component under sets, list item. To scroll through items in the list, we'll need to use a number slider. Let's de-preview some of these components. By scrolling through, we'll be able to identify what faces are planar and what faces need to be scored to be able to bend plywood. So item 1 or index 1 in the list, index 3 in the list. We have to perform a culling of this list so we're able to separate the planar and the non-planar surfaces. So let's go to sequence, cull index. Let's call 1 and 3, number slider. Shift. Let's set these aside. This component now represents a list of planar surfaces that make up our 3D geometry. To manage these surfaces and prepare them for our laser cutting files, we'll have to orient them on a plane. So let's transform, Euclidean, orient, transform, Euclidean, orient. Geometries to orient, simply plug that in. Original planes, surface, analysis is planar. For the target plane, we'll need to create a series of points that will function as placeholders. So let's go to vector, construct a point, sets, sequence, series. In the series component, the number count must equal exactly as the length of the list. So let's go to sets, list length. Now we've created a series of points that is exactly the same amount of planar surfaces we are preparing for laser cutting. Orient. We'll need to adjust the distances between the points. Let's get a number slider. 20. We need to extract the outline of these orient surfaces. So Surface tab, Analysis, B-Rep Edges. Let's de-preview some of these components. Preview off, edges. One way to deal with surfaces oriented back to front is Surface. No, let's go Transform, Euclidean, Mirror. Need to orient this mirror, Vector, Plane, XZ plane. Let's replace this geometry with the edges. De-preview the original edges. This component now represents the outline for our laser cutting files. Let's group these together. Okay, so we'll set this aside for now. This is a surface that needs the living hinge pattern to enable us to bend the plywood to follow its curvature. In the next tutorial, we will develop our living hinge pattern.